What's up guys, it's G with Test Bros, and today we're going to show you how we bulk a mirror with paint protection film. So this video is going to show you the process, the prepping, and pretty much everything of what we do here at the shop at Test Bros. So the first step you want to do, of course, is you want to make sure that this is washed. We've already washed it, it's clean, it's ready to go. And then the next step is when you're washing it, make sure you do a decontamination wash. Typically that includes like de-ironing, and then sometimes tar remover for some areas, and then we use a degreaser to really get all the oils or everything out. And then once that happens, what you want to do is you want to grab a clay bar and use a lube and pretty much clay bar this area. And you want to, I typically use just like a medium course. You want to keep it lubricated, and you just want the clay bar to do its work. And you want to really get through, all of that. Don't be too hard. It should just glide. And really use your hands and your fingers to really touch it. It should be super smooth, and that's how you know. And then once you do that, I'm just gonna dry it out with a microfiber towel, and you can already feel the difference just from me doing that. Once that's prepped, of course, if we were doing a full color wrap, not a color wrap, sorry, PPF. We would do a paint correction, and typically we do a 1 or 2 pass. Once that prep is done, you're pretty much ready to go, and you can start laying film down on this. There's a lot of curves, right? So there's a curve going all the way here. It's pretty aggressive here, and then also going down here. So essentially what you want to do is you want to stretch it outwards, and then you're not going to do a full wrap because this is a really, really aggressive one. And what we typically found out is instead of us trying to bulk everything, but we don't go all the way in, we just kind of cut it right where it's going to protect that mirror, and then that's what we do for a PPF, and that's pretty common. And then also when you're doing PPF, you kind of want to cut right at the edge, not all the way inside. So instead of using that as a guide like color does, you really want to cut on the mirror itself, because what will happen is if you go too much, it will fail. So the idea is you want to cut here, and then cut down the line right here. But when you lay the film, you want the film to really, really stretch, right? So that's really the goal of this. So to do that, we use hot water and less soap solution. And we do it really, really quickly because we have less solution and it's hot, and we really tack it down quickly. But when you tack it down, what I like to do is I go from this middle and I split it in half. So I go from here all the way down, I split it, and then I go down, and then I push the water out this way as well. So that's kind of like the strategy behind it. The film that we are going to be using is going to be S-Tech. I love it. It's really good. It's easy to work with. It stretches really well. So I like using that. And then we also use other brands too. But that's what we're going to be using for this demo. It's really, really important when you guys use any blades. One, make sure you're comfortable, and don't cut on your car if you're not comfortable. And then the other thing is always use a brand new blade. These don't cost a lot. So whenever I'm cutting something new, get a new blade, and then what I do is I go to the tip already, and then I go ahead and cut it, right? Just for a precaution. So I have a brand new blade that I'll be using, and I'm just gonna leave it like this. You don't wanna keep going back and forth like this, because what happens is typically inside here is super dirty. So every time you do that, you're dulling your blade. So you want a super, super sharp blade. I'm just gonna leave it like that so it's ready to go. So I'm gonna go get some hot water. One thing to note is when I'm doing PPF, contamination is one of probably the hardest thing, right? And water is one of the most important things. So I'm going to be using water from our filter. It is a deionizer and all that stuff. So it's super clean, it's filtered, and it's hot, right? And then we'll talk about the solution. So I'm going to go get some water. I'll bring in some solution, and then we'll get it mixed up. I just got my hot water, and typically what I do is I fill it up to about 3/4, and then I use a little bit of cold water. That helps a lot, so it's not like piping hot. And then what we're going to be doing is the multiplier. We're going to be using our slip solution, and this is what I use. I use 7th generation, just dish soap. I like using this. You can use baby shampoo, Dawn, whatever fits your boat really. But that's what I use. And the multiplier that I typically use for all my installs is going to be 0.005 or 4, depending on the humidity and all that stuff. And if you do the math, you have to convert it. 0.005 of 50 ounces is going to be like 0.25, and then you convert that to milliliters, which is the syringe that we're going to be using. It comes out to about 7.3, right? I didn't do that math in my head, right? I did that before the video. But we're going to be using this, and what I'm going to be using is, since it's about 7.3 for that same multiplier, we're going to be using probably about 4 mil or about 3.5 or something like that. So you're kind of cutting that in half. And the point of that is, if you have a lot more slip solution, it doesn't stick as well, right? So it moves a lot more. What you're trying to do is you want it to stick quicker. So we're going to do a really, really quick squeegee and then get all the water out quicker. So that's why we're using less solution. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my solution and do that. Again, just 4 should be good. That's about 4 right there. So just use 4 right there. And the sprayer that I like to use is the IK Multi-Pro 2. This is just a sprayer, and you just pump it. It's a pump sprayer. And then it has a filter installed as well, so it keeps it clean. And then, there you go. So it's ready. If you haven't, obviously your car should be clean, but if it's been sitting maybe for a day, it's not a bad idea to get like alcohol, like 1 part 70% alcohol and 4 part water, and then just wipe it down real quick. But then another way we like to do it is we just spray it a little bit like this, and then get a clean squeegee. You always want to make sure this is clean, wash it, spray it so that there's no particles. Because let's say you have something right here, you go over your car, you can scratch it, right? So this is really important to go this way, to clean. Cool. So that's what we're going to do, and we're just going to spray it again. And I have a small piece here. Hopefully this is big enough, but this is about what, like, what would you say, 1 by 2, something like that. I'm just going to spray. My hands are wet and it's clean, and you're just going to peel, and as you peel, I like just spraying it. And again, what this hot water will do is it just makes it a lot more pliable, right? And then you're just going to spray. And what you're going to do is you're just going to place it. You're just going to stretch it across. And you're focusing on that middle. And you see how I'm going right here? Boom. And it should just stick. Just spray it real quick. Oh, it kind of came out. And what you want to do is from here on out, you want to grab the squeegee and go the middle and go all the way down the center, just like that. All right, so then once you split that in half, then you can go ahead and work your way down. I probably could have used a little bit less solution too, but it's okay. It's working really well so far. And then you got this right here. You're just going to hold it down. You just want to get the rest of it and try to find an exit. And the hot water just makes it so much easier, guys. If I didn't have hot water, man, it'd be so much harder. All right, so you can just use water right here in the corners, and then that will actually help it tack even easier. And that's what you want to do for the edges as well. So I'm just going to spray water, and then you just hold it down. And it's just easy to just hold it down like this just for a quick few seconds, and then it should help. And then what you also want to do is down here, you just want to flush. You see all that soap? So again, I could have probably went a little bit less soap, and that's kind of the point. You want this to tack really, really quick. So once you do that, you just kind of squeegee down, hold it down. Cool. And lastly, what you want to do, I mean, it looks really good. I don't see any, like silvering and I guess like ghosting is probably one of the things that you'll suffer with. And the point of it is there's just too much movement. And the trick to this mirror is just doing it one go real fast, and then having a lot less slip so that it will tack, right? And then you don't have to go over it again, right? So this looks really good. I want to do the same for the edges on this side. What you want to do, again, the same thing, is just put some tack and go over. There we go. And then you want to do the same for here. So you can see a couple areas trying to kind of come back up. What you just do is just hold it down and you just try to get that out. So I think one of the key mistakes some people might do is that they try to cut too early. So what I typically do is I do like the headlights, the mirrors, and all of that, and I go all the way around. And then by the time I'm done with all of that, come back to this, and then typically I'm ready to cut, right? Because you don't want to cut too early where things are still drying, and maybe it's just not fully tacked. So cutting it becomes a lot harder. And again, just make sure you check the edges, make sure there's no moisture. You just want to push everything out right now. Don't leave it in there. And I'm going to cut it like right there. So as long as it's not, I'm going to cut it right here, and then right there, and then right there. So let's leave this for a little bit. Before you move on to the next thing, just check for any moisture trap, bubbles, air, or anything like that. This video isn't really about teaching you how to knife or cut. So if you're not comfortable cutting on your car, I do not advise doing this on your own. Are we going to come out with a kit? We have been working on it. It won't be a bulk like this though. It'll most likely be a 2-piece, one here and one here. So again, the order is going to be right here. I like keeping my finger like this. And what you're hearing for is it makes a weird squeaky sound, right? It makes a squeaky sound if you're doing it right. So I'm going to be cutting all the way across here. So let's go ahead and do that. Just so you guys know, I'm not actually cutting the car, right? You're just pretty much scoring it so lightly, ever so slightly, that I'm able to peel it off afterwards, right? So a lot of installers are looking for that or hearing that sound, and that's why they know they're doing a good job and they're not cutting through. But I'm so light, I'm literally scoring. I'm letting the blade do the work and I'm not forcing anything, right? Also using my middle finger kind of to guide it so I'm not overpowering anything. So just a quick tip on that. I'm going to go ahead and show you this part right here. It's all about positioning, so I'm just going to go straight down this line right here. Alright, so let's go ahead and get that off. Look at that. Super straight. And then one thing you want to watch out for, guys, is like this. This is good that this happened. Use your tag, whatever you use for tag. If it's water, that's fine. If it's alcohol, it's fine. And what you want to do is just make sure that that's down, right? And you really want to make sure that's down. Because what happens is if the film is loose, obviously it's going to be harder for you. It's going to drag or something like that, right? So you just want to make sure that this part is really, really down like that. Alright, so again, you're going to go just inside. I'm not trying to cut this. I like my blade about 2 clicks out. Alright, so if we did that right, you just kind of see how I just kind of, I guess like flick it, right? And then you should be able to go out just like that. Saute for PPF. And then what you're going to do, you're just going to clean that up, the edges, dry it out. And again, lastly, this is a step that a lot of people forget to do, is really sealing up your edges. Spray all the edges with your tack solution, right? This is very important. And then you're going to grab your squeegee and do that final squeegee all across and go outwards. This is the final seal. And we're not going to show you also the one step that we do. But what we like to do is we get a steamer and we steam all the edges. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to stress test it. Okay, if there's a lot of heat, is it going to fail? So I kind of go over the edges and then I use steam to do that, right? And that kind of stress tests it. Hopefully that was helpful. That's pretty much how we do our mirrors. And if we're doing stealth, we'll obviously put the inside. But typically most owners are okay if we just protect the main areas like the mirror. So if you have any questions, let us know in the comment below. But montage, start now.